Welcome to Real Flix Reviews. This is a show where we review everything from Night at the Opera with the Marx Brothers to the latest, greatest, craptastic Ryan Reynolds movie. And this week, we did the movie Super. And since it's only myself and James Stevens, because Ryan decided to cower out of this.
Loser.
And since it's, after we flipped a coin, it's my turn to, I guess, describe what the movie's about.
Yeah.
This show is about a guy after his wife ditches him. He decides to become a superhero called the Crimson Bolt. And, well, to describe it lightly, the movie goes downhill very fast from there. This movie, I don't know how, has a 6.8 rating out of 10 on IMDb.
Well, the way that I kind of look at it, and it does have Rainn Wilson in it, as people know, is from The Office. This movie is basically like The Office meets Kick-Ass, meets Falling Down, meets Napoleon Dynamite. It's just a horrible mix of people.
And don't forget
movies that are just all compact in a
throw
one.
in some Watchmen stuff, because there's a few Watchmen references in there if you caught it.
Yeah, but I think it falls more into like Kick-Ass rather than Watchmen.
Well, no, I agree completely, but there's a few scenes in there that are totally Watchmen-esque.
Yeah, I mean, the opening is fairly interesting in just showing how much of a loser this guy is. And I mean, it's a really bad sign when you can't even get any from your own wife. I mean, that's kind of a sign that you're going downhill.
Oh, totally. And the part that was I'm gonna kind of skip ahead of here. Rainn Wilson, when he's getting his ass kicked, screams like a girl.
Yeah.
And this guy was getting his butt kicked by at least 4 or 5 people. And apparently they didn't do enough damage to actually do anything.
I know. He got beat up pretty badly by these guys, and he didn't even look like he got beat up. The thing that was kind of surprising, and I'm pretty certain you thought so too, is the tentacle porn stuff in this movie. It's like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it's in 2 scenes. One actually has like the hentai and actual when he's flipping through the television, and one is where they called him the fingers of God. It's like a giant earthworm. It starts like, it stops, moves his head, cuts off, his head, and then like rapes his brain.
Yeah, like you were saying about him getting his butt handed to him. I've never heard a superhero say not fair.
I know, totally.
But I mean, if you're thinking about it, I mean, the dude's got a lot of issues, especially since he supposedly has these visions in which he's getting his head cut open, like John just said, by, tentacles.
Or this Holy Avenger guy.
Oh, yeah, the Holy Avenger. I mean, I like the actor who played the Holy Avenger.
LSD or Psycho. Because the only way I've ever heard anybody experiencing anything like that, they're either tripping or there is something physically, mentally wrong.
Well, he's got mental issues, and a lot of it they try to...
Rainn Wilson or the actor? The character?
The character, kind of a mix of both. But if you think about it, I mean, the opening scene kind of is trying to set you up for this. He's like been beat up a lot, he's been picked on, and blah, 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 blah. But I mean, I don't know anybody who got beat up a lot who actually has straight up hallucinations. And he had multiple. He had the tentacle porns, or the tentacle cutting up scene. He had the one where he was seeing demons and angels.
The worst one was the toilet scene.
Yeah, the vomit talking to him.
Yeah, to give it a little more reference, it's towards the middle end of the movie. Middle end, jeez, John. It's towards the end of the movie, and he pukes into a toilet, and you see the Holy Avenger gather together.
Actually, no, I think it was his wife.
No, it was him. No, yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. It's not Holy Avenger. You saw his wife's face come together and all the refuse that he puked up, and it was talking to him like "help me" type of stuff. And it was.
Now I do have to say, Liv Tyler did play a pretty good dumb whore in this movie.
You said earlier she wasn't playing.
Well, that's the thing is I've always had issues with her character. She always has this incessantly stupid look on her face. Incessantly. I mean, she had it in basically every movie I've seen her in. I mean, Armageddon.
Jersey Girl.
I haven't seen that. I boycotted that one.
I was forced to see it in a 9.5-hour flight.
The other one that I was going to say is the Lord of the Rings series. She just had this really stupid deer in the headlights look that just always speaks to me dumb.
I will say that. Sorry.
Her playing this role of a slut wife type of thing that's supposedly caught up on heroin and things like that kind of was fitting.
Well, the part to me that I thought was weird is she wasn't exactly the main character. She was like the emphasis for the characters, so the reason why he started going bat crap crazy, but she wasn't in it enough. And like I just say, the one thing that really stuck out is the characters and the character development. What little there was in this movie is just strange.
Well, there was a lot for the Frank D'Arbo, aka the Crimson Bolt, and I actually have an issue with his name. I mean, he's walking around supposed to be a Crimson Bolt. I mean, shouldn't he? And then he starts using a monkey wrench. Shouldn't he go with the name
it's
of
a pipe wrench,
plumber? No, it's a monkey wrench. You can look it up. He should go with a plumber since he's got a monkey wrench.
I love the symbols, the part I don't understand.
Or I was thinking this one too could be fitting for him. Short order. Because I mean, he was a short order cook. You know, there's a couple things that he could have gotten better with that instead of just going with the Crimson Bolt, which had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with himself.
Yeah, no,
I mean, it just kind of came out of the blue. I mean, well, not out of the blue. It kind of came out of his head while it was cut open by a tentacle.
Yeah, I don't get the whole Crimson Bolt. And his symbol was the mask he wears.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. He's a Crimson Bolt with a helmet for a symbol.
Yeah.
At least his unfortunate sidekick,
Libby,
Bolty,
who I was just going to bring up. Libby or Bolty.
She's really cute. Apparently, she also played in the X-Men 2. She was Shadowcat.
Yeah. Well, not Shadowcat.
Wasn't she? That was Shadowcat. She was the chick who could walk through walls.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Shadowcat, but I was thinking of her actual name. Never mind.
Yeah.
And that was the thing about it, too, is that she just kind of jumped all over him, too.
Yeah.
What was up with that? I mean, because they showed in the backstory of him and Sarah, Liv Tyler, that they just kind of jumped on him.
Yeah.
For no apparent reason. And if you're such a loser that you can't even get a date, or as they showed in the movie, that his prom date all of a sudden started sleeping with the camera guy.
That wasn't sleeping. They were having coitus in the floor. I mean, come on.
If you have that many problems and all of a sudden some chick just jumps your bones like that, you got to think there's something mentally wrong with her. That's got to be a bell that goes off. Yeah, Wait a minute. I just got laid by this actually very attractive girl. Libby also had superhero fantasies, so that kind of explains that.
What's wrong with a girl who gets off on a 40-year-old man dressed up in this red onesie, thinking he's a badass, knocking people over with a pipe wrench?
Yeah.
I mean, or monkey wrench. I don't see how that is even remotely attractive. And is it this was my thought for a name: Crimson Bolt or S&M Man.
S&M Man. Well,
I mean, come on.
Yeah, okay. Because I mean, if you are going around smashing people in the head with a pipe or monkey wrench, whatever. Anyway, the other thing that I was going to bring up is it just seemed like every woman in this movie was a whore in some fashion.
Didn't it? I mean,
yeah,
it
really
like
did.
Every woman that wasn't behind the character, wasn't behind the scenes or was an extra, had some sort of really weird
sexual thing going on.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I have never seen anybody drive after being shot in the right leg.
I know.
They kind of showed it later. I mean, the initial I can't think of the name of those things, the exploding thing that blows up when people in movies are shooting. What the heck is the name of that thing? I can't think of it right now.
Like the squib?
Yeah, squib. The squib blew up right on his kneecap.
Yeah.
Later in the movie, it was up on the thigh, and I'm still thinking, even if it's up on the thigh, you're gonna have issues driving.
Yeah, and he sped away pretty fast. I mean, that was another thing to me that was really. It's like there's no way he could have driven.
The one thing I will have to say I liked about this movie, besides Libby and her turning psycho, which was actually the best scene of the movie.
I love towards the end of the movie, she gets these Wolverine-style claws and starts stabbing somebody with it.
Project X, or his daughter, Wolverine's daughter.
Yeah, well, it was instead of Wolverine's, the 3 blades Wolverine has, she had like 2 strapped to her arm right here.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. I loved to kind of talk about that scene a bit. I loved that scene.
Yeah,
the end part of the movie, to the beginning where they assault his house, to the end part. Where they leave the house, that is literally the best scene of the movie.
What I was gonna say is there was a lot of homages played towards those movies later. The pretty much the older movies, older cartoon movies.
Yeah.
Like the old school Batman.
Bamf and
Yeah, the
boom
Bamf.
and-
Those were pretty cool. There was a couple scenes in there that, I mean, were okay, honestly, in the movie scheme of it. But now, was it me, or did you really want to see him bash his wife in the head with a wrench?
I was close.
I was rooting for that. I really was. I was literally sitting there kind of like, do it. Do it.
Wait,
Do it. And then he saves her.
Well, my thought through the whole thing, if she leaves you for a drug dealer and there's obviously some whacked out comic book chick,
Well,
but
half her head was blown off by that time.
well, true.
He couldn't go back to her.
Well, he could, but he would just be doing what Ryan does, and I can make fun of Ryan because he's not here.
You can make fun of Ryan when he is here.
Yes, but it's a lot better when I get an email from him saying, "Dude, that's not fair."
Well, the thing about this movie is there were parts that I'm like, okay, it's going to pick up. It's going to get better. And then it just kind of let you down.
See, my part is, I kind of agree with, there's a scene where he's going to see a movie, somebody butts in line. There's few of these things scattered throughout the movie where you think, okay, it's going to start getting good. And then right after that, I think it drops, it's like a sigh wave. It just goes, it hits
that's what I'm saying.
bottom.
That's kind of the falling down moments. You start picking up. It's getting good. It's getting good. Like he's really going to do something. And then it's just,
But my problem is it's not good enough. It doesn't, because falling down, when Michael Douglas goes crazy, he goes over the top, batshit, holding up McDonald's crazy. And he, his thing, he whacks somebody over the head with a monkey wrench, and that's it. I mean, it's not crazy. It's desperation.
Yeah, it really was.
When he snaps at that moment.
Speaking of, going to a drug dealer's wife, how well did Kevin Bacon fit that role, though? He actually looked like he was on drugs.
My part, I have to say, I have in the beginning of my notes is, excuse me, is Kevin Bacon is an asshole. He does, in this movie, he did perfect. He was probably the best placed actor in this movie.
Well, is that typecasting?
I think a little, yeah. Yeah, I think also the chick who played Libby.
So to sum this whole thing up,
well.
the guy, Frank D'Arbo, Rainn Wilson's character, he had to have been the stupidest person ever.
Yeah.
Because even after he gets his wife, she fixes him up, she takes off and meets another guy and has 4 kids, and he's receiving letters, and he's still freaking madly in love with this woman.
And he's happy as can be.
With a rabbit.
Yeah, with a rabbit. Not a cat, not a dog.
Yeah, a rabbit.
A vegetable. Really, just kind of sitting there and...
I was half expecting the end of the movie to be him putting a gun to the top of his palate and pulling the trigger.
Honestly, I thought that would have been a really good ending.
I thought it would have been too. That's what I was kind of saying.
The movie had kind of a dramedy feel, but it's not good drama, kind of the depressed, kind of this guy's a loser. I think they could have done that. I think it would have been a better ending to the movie than the one that was.
Yeah.
Because the ending of the movie, it sucked. Really, it was that short 2-minute scene where he goes buck, and that's it. If you want to see this movie, you could literally just watch the last part of the movie and skip everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's no development in this movie to me that I think really pertains to the character.
Well, I do think there was some for Frank D'Arbo. I think there was a lot of that. There was a lot of development for him.
You mean building up to the fact that...
Well, building up, trying to feel out what he wants to be as a superhero. He actually tried, and then he's like, wait a minute, I don't have superpowers. That's why I just got my butt handed to me. Okay, well, now I need to look at superheroes that don't have power. So there was some thinking on his part. There was some development. Okay. There was the development of how serious and how far do I need to go, because at some point he switches from the monkey wrench to taking on actual guns and knives and creating bombs. Remember the first bomb he threw was a smoke bomb?
Yeah.
That the gang members were kind of like, what the heck did he just throw at us?
I'll give it to you.
There was development. There was character development. There wasn't much for...
See, I was thinking as Frank as a person, there's none. But since...
As the Crimson Bolt, there was.
Yeah, as the Crimson Bolt, you're right. There was a lot more development as him and the superhero. I just oddly feel that it's more about Frank than it is about Crimson Bolt.
That's exactly what... Well...
And that's why, to me, I think it's weird.
Okay, I can see that because... Well, if you're thinking of the character Frank and some of the development that ended up there, you're thinking you got to look at it more of that he, as a person, started to lose his mind more.
Yeah.
That would be what it was. As I said, is that he starts getting more and more visions. So that would be what that is. And then he sits there and kind of like, oh, God, help me. And then he just all of a sudden gets some random vision.
After he pukes or something.
Yeah. So there was development, but it was all focused around the Frank
Bolt.
Crimson Bolt characters. There really wasn't any for Libby. There really wasn't any for Sarah. There really wasn't any for Jacques. There really wasn't any for any other character except him.
Well, the Jacques character, or Kevin Bacon, didn't need the development.
No, he didn't. And neither did Sarah, because, I mean, they were both kind of taken... They were...
Well, I think
played a part in the movie, but they didn't play a main part in the movie.
I just think the way Kevin Bacon played it, it seemed it didn't need much development because the character was a 1D character.
Yeah.
Very, very same dimensional, very, I'm a badass drug dealer, don't mess with me. And I think he played that role very well.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. But
for being a bit part in the movie.
All in all, in this movie, I can't give it any more than a 2. It's not as bad as I would say Drive is. There was more to it, but it just didn't get to that point of improving at all. And when it did improve, it was such a short and kind of spontaneous improvement, and then it was just like right back.
Yeah, I was going to give this movie a 1. Then discussing with James in the pre-show, he brought up a good point. This movie's not as bad as Drive. It's not as bad as other movies as we consider the essential bad movies. I'll give it a 2. I wanted to give it higher, but the movie just didn't have enough entertainment factor.
Yeah.
There had some very few scenes that were maybe Tarantino-esque. Maybe. Not. It was like the poor man's Tarantino.
No, I can't say Tarantino. I'd say
I mean,
more
the action
Kevin
scenes,
Smith.
I'd say a combination of both. I think you're right, though. I think it's more Kevin Smith because the action scenes, the last end was kind of had the homage it seems like Tarantino likes to do.
Okay. I could kind of see that.
But overall, I would not see this movie. I would see this movie over Drive a lot more. I would see this movie... I'd probably watch the Real Drive, the first movie we reviewed in the series.
Oh, yeah.
I would watch that over this movie. I do like the Holy Avenger, the Nathan Fillion guy. If you don't know him, he's Mal from Firefly. That was cool.
Firefly and Serenity.
Yeah. Overall... the 2 is as high, 2 is as low as I can get it without breaking our rating system, and as high as I can give it without a rewrite.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I give it a 2. James gives it a 2, and
Ryan, you give it a nothing since you are not here.
Yeah, we've got to come up with something. So if somebody doesn't show up, we can make fun of him.
Okay.
But yeah, since Ryan's not here, I guess he gives it a 0.
Yeah. So overall, it seems like a 2 average.
It's we give it a basic. It's a basic 2 then overall for James and myself, and Ryan doesn't count this time. And then Ryan and James and I discussed next week's movie is going to be in the theaters. What we do is the three of us. I do a movie 1 week, James does a movie 1 week, and Ryan, who's normally in this corner here, does a movie, and then we all 3 decided what we're going to do is once a month go see a movie that's in the theaters. This week, next week is going to be the movie Avengers, which everybody's saying is going to be the biggest box office movie of the summer. I'm hoping it's not, because there's one by Ridley Scott that I really want to see. Because I like
no name dropping, but Prometheus.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna do it, but I really, I might just have to talk these guys into seeing Prometheus when that comes up. But
I'll be down.
But next week's movie is of the Avengers, which it looks entertaining. And if you don't know what the Avengers is, kind of a short little synopsis. It's with Iron Man, Thor,
Hulk,
Black Widow, Captain America, and they're fighting some enemy, probably something with Loki's brother. With Thor's brother. And I have heard, a little tidbit, stay after the credits. And all of these movies with Iron Man I've heard that there's a small segment, a tidbit at the end, I guess, to highlight the next movie.
Yeah, which is kind of annoying. Just kind of play the credits for like 10 seconds, then do it. Not all the way at the end.
I'll agree.
Anyway, but that's what the Hollywood does, so...
Yep, for myself, James Stevens, and the absent Ryan Preston, see you next week.
This episode of Old Guy Tech TV is brought to you by Ward's Automotive, specializing in Banks Power and Pack Brake, servicing your car or truck and specializing in diesel engines. Over 30 years of service, located in Diamond Springs, California. Give them a call at 530-626-5588.